Good evening, everybody. It is 7:02, and we are at the regularly scheduled November meeting for the Water Pollution Control Authority. We have a posted agenda. Are there any proposed changes to the posted agenda? Seeing none, item number 2 on the agenda is bills and communications approval of the October 16th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
I'm just abstaining. I was in and out of that meeting.
Understood. All right, so 601, the meeting minutes are approved.
You didn't sit through the whole thing. I'm not sure how much of it at the end of that.
That's a good point. I had to drop out of that. I'll abstain for that one. I was only there for about 2/3 of that meeting.
So,
Okay, sorry, so,
who abstains?
yeah,
All in favor, two.
so five in favor, 2 abstentions. Item number 3, old business. Number 1 under there is 222 Stilson Road decision appeal by applicant.
It's just to bring to the commission's attention that a complaint and appeal was filed by this applicant on November 6th. There's a return date on the complaint and appeal of December 10th. This is in regards to the authority's ability to levy an expiration date on its 2-year approval duration.
Right. And given that it's pending litigation, we should not have any discussion on that. So it's more just a notification.
Exactly.
And I guess we will move on. Right? We shouldn't even have any questions on it or anything.
There's nothing that we could discuss as
Right, yeah, okay, good. All right, item number 2, amendments. No, so we just did that. The amendment to the I&I policy calculations, right?
so that's just,
I'm confused with what, I'm looking at a different agenda, so I'm not saying anything.
Wait, what did we?
Business, I just did it on business, and then I moved to new business.
Okay, I've got this one.
one agenda was first distributed in here. And there is an actual agenda distributed afterward.
So I must have a bad agenda.
The agenda that's posted publicly on our website is the agenda that's correct.
See it now. Yeah, that's the one I do have.
Yes.
What's your, go back to old business. Yeah, no, that's the one I do have. That's the one I am looking at.
You're missing old business though.
There's nothing on his old business either.
But this is the latest one, which does have a couple items.
Okay.
Well, what is item number 2 then? Amendment to I&I policy calculations for existing units? Isn't that what we just did?
Yes.
Reporting out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Just move them.
Get out, so it's in the
It's
minutes.
unanimous.
Got it, okay. So, oh, right, it's old business because it happened 5 minutes ago. Got it, okay.
This is amazing.
Okay.
Very old business.
Right,
Very
exactly.
Move faster.
But the minutes should require.
Right, that we have now approved I&I policy calculations per our special meeting at 7 PM. Got it.
Same now.
Any questions or comments on that item before moving on? Seeing none. Item 3, to discuss and act on Mill River Pump Station Force Main Replacement Project.
And so this had previously come to the commission's attention. We talked about it at length. At this point, we're just seeking the commission's approval to move forward with the design proposal for the Mill River Pump Station Force Main Replacement. Just as a recap, this is a 14-inch cast iron pipe circa 1980. Estimate is $200,000 for design. This is based on a 9-month schedule. It's just shy of 1,200 feet in length. This is 2 pipes, so there's redundancy there. There's the active force main and then there's the spare, which both need to be addressed. And part of these pipes do traverse under the Mill River.
Any questions?
The design expense is 200,000 all by itself.
Correct.
Construction is on top.
And in these design expenses, are they gonna be looking at the existing pipes on if we could line them or do any other items to it?
Correct. That's part of the design
All of our-
proposal.
And does this have to go to select persons and Department of Finance? Do we have it in our budget?
That's a great question. It's a question that I had internally as well. So I believe that we already have money bonded. I know that's for the construction of the pump stations. But a question that I have internally for the process, because I'm new to it, is after this point, are we moving forward with full approval, or has this money already been earmarked and approved for the design piece? I know we have it approved for construction, we have it bonded, but the question is design included in that?
What are we acting on tonight then?
To move forward.
On the
to
design.
move forward on the design.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none,
So we don't quite have it clear. So we're moving forward on the design, but we don't quite have it clear if it's funded or not.
We have funds, but where the funds are coming.
Yeah. So that could slow it down. So you're saying it's like a 9-month design phase, but if we got to go through finance and select persons, that could add like 3-4 months. That's kind of what I'm just trying to figure out. What's the time period of this is
Sure,
kind of what I'm trying to think
sure.
just down the road. That was it. I'm fine with it. I just want to, because I know we always have questions regarding.
so I mean, it's still up for, I guess, the WPCF, the administration's decision in terms of how they want to proceed with the design services also, whether or not it's through RFP, leveraging on-call contracts or any of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, this is the first step in terms of we are, as a board, in favor or against proceeding.
To perform this work or not, is
Okay.
actually the decision.
Could I make a motion to move ahead with the design?
I'm glad if you did. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, all right. Thank you. Moving on to new business. Item number 1 under new business, to consider, discuss, and approve connection of a proposed multi-unit residential complex at 441 Post Road.
I believe Andy Somalides, did I say that right, is speaking for Brian Carey this evening. Hello, Andy.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm pitch hitting for Brian. He's at Conservation in Fairfield. So the proposal here at 441 Post Road is to redevelop the property into a mixed-use property. As you guys are probably well aware, currently there are 2 hotel buildings on the property and a diner. The proposal is to demo those 2 hotel buildings, build a new residential 250-unit residential building, and a new 110-key hotel, and the diner is to remain. We went before planning and zoning in a pre-app last week, which you folks probably are well aware, and it was well received. So now we are full steam ahead in developing these drawings for submission to planning and zoning. And we're here before you tonight to seek approval for connection of these increase in flows. The previous engineer who was working on this piece of property, Professional Engineer Consulting Services, provided a sewer analysis. There was 2 points of concern that were identified. One is basically right in front of the property, and one is on the Post Road. So flow monitoring was conducted a couple years ago to determine existing flow rates. Calculations were provided based on the increase in flow, based on the bedroom count, based on the hotel keys. One thing to note is the calculations did not take into account the deduction of the existing hotel. So the existing hotel is 80 keys, and the proposed hotel is 110 keys. So it's theoretically a net of 30, but the calculations were just based on those existing flows and no deduction. So it's a pretty conservative approach in terms of what the actual flows will be. I think you also have a report from your consultant, Wright Pierce, who reviewed this, our calculations, and I think they generally agree that everything, the 2 points of concern, the 8-inch and the 24-inch receiving pipe, interceptor pipe on the post road have the capacity to handle this additional flow. And I can go into more detail if you'd like. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
You first, I'll just keep going. I see it was done in 2022. Did our engineer take that into account, and was he okay with that?
I believe he did. He said there was no concerns as far as this project goes.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah.
through you, Mr. Chairman, does this flow go through the same flow as the Masonic Temple and the 2 university projects we approved last month and the month before? This goes through a completely different.
Eventually it all marries together, but that's,
Where does it marry together?
this is at the circle.
Right.
So it, yeah,
South Benson?
yes.
So shouldn't we have, I mean, this was done 2 years ago. We've got 3 projects that are going to be utilizing that same pipe at South Benson. That's not a question for you. That's just, am I correct in that assumption?
Correct.
Been done 2 years ago. That's my problem with
I
additional projects that were.
share your concerns. I really don't at all like using 2-year-old flow monitoring data to make a decision. We typically set 2-year expirations on approvals, and then at our discretion require additional flow monitoring, which we would already be past that 2-year mark. This was from April, May 2022. It sets a dangerous precedent, in my opinion, and
Plus, they should have, well, at this point, they should have at least included the theoretical flows of the other 3 projects. Even if we accept that there's 2 different ways to
Sure,
do it.
yeah,
even if we
exactly.
accept the flows.
Right.
The other 3 projects should have been included, I would assume. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be corrected.
I would think so. But I didn't look at the report from Wright Pierce, so I don't know if,
I didn't see Ray Pierce's report either, but I also,
Pierce didn't, I saw the Wright Pierce report. And it didn't include any theoretical. The only thing it pointed out was it was done 2 years ago.
Peak capacity at 50% of the 24-inch does not include those other projects, right?
Those other flows would not, where this is measured, where the manholes were measured, is not what I'm concerned with. It's when it comes down, that new flow comes down to
The merger.
South Benson, where the other 3 projects merge with it into that 8-inch pipe. I would have put the measuring in a different spot 2 years later, let's put it that way.
There's a 24-inch pipe.
yeah, the pipe at South Benson's 24. Were these all married together? South Benson's 24.
Okay, so the pipe from Masonic to South Benson is the 8-inch pipe. Okay, so it's pre that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, got it.
Into a 24.
Got it.
Masonic's coming this way to the 24,
Right.
this one's coming
Right.
from the opposite end of us. And then the university's coming this way. 3-headed monster.
And then from South Benson, it's a 24.
Yeah.
Got it.
yeah, I mean, my biggest concern is just that we're leveraging 2-year-old data, which I don't recall ever doing previously without getting updated data.
I ask the other question then, beyond the hotel. Obviously, we have Metro with 5. Is that coming, does that somehow get involved with this flow at all? Metro's 5 buildings that we've approved?
Well, Metro comes,
Just
Yeah,
asking the
separate.
question. Okay,
Right.
great.
Would they need a WPCA approval to go ahead with the next application to TPZ?
Well, I think the timeline is your concern, right, Matt?
My timeline is just that the sewer report is based on 2-year-old data. That's, and I mean, even if, regardless of what the data showed, I just feel like we're at that point setting a very dangerous precedent that I don't really want to be setting.
May I ask, was there a sewer, I'm assuming there's a sewer report based on these other projects I'm not that familiar with, that you folks reviewed, and there's data we could use from those and add to our report?
I don't know what the process is for sharing data in terms of, I mean, everybody does their own flow assessment and then.
It was,
If we have applications that the town received, they are subject to FOIA.
Right.
it was presented to the commission for approval, so I would think that
But this report though is leveraging 2-year-old data. So,
this report here.
Right.
Yeah.
so I mean, if they go back and do the report on less than 2-year-old data, I would, if they have it, I would consider that, but I don't like making decisions on 2-year-old data.
Their data's from up where they're at at the circle. So does that play into, we want to know where it's coming to at South Benson?
Can I share?
Sure.
I guess one of my concerns is I thought that when new applicants come in, that Wright Pierce is supposed to give them instruction on where to do flow monitoring. And so where did that happen here? Because if Wright Pierce said it's acceptable to use 2-year-old data, I have a problem with Wright Pierce, not with the applicant.
Right.
Whereas if if Wright Pierce never even provided any direction to the new applicant, then we just missed something. But in any case, I'm not comfortable leveraging 2-year-old data.
I'll defer to the other end of the table. I don't have all the data, but what I'm guessing is Wright Pierce reviewed what was given to them.
Right. But I thought that at this point, they were supposed to, I thought Wright Pierce was supposed to opine on where they're doing.
Pierce was a third party.
Okay.
Right.
So the Wright Pierce,
So this is a few months old then.
yeah, so the data that they provided us with was before Wright Pierce was on board with us. So.
Okay.
And he reviewed it and said that he didn't see any problems with it, so.
So this is the subject property. This is the 8-inch. So there was flow monitoring done here. This is Post Road, and flow monitoring was done here. What I'm hearing is there's concern where all these converge here at South Benson and going down towards the plant.
Yeah, and the additional flow, which was approved after 2022.
Critical flow.
There's flow that was approved
The theoretical flow.
on this trunk line.
That's correct.
Got it. So are we saying you wanted updated metering at these same locations? Just so I'm clear.
I would like, right, I mean, ideally, in our current process, I would like Wright Pierce to dictate where flow monitoring occurs.
Yeah, because I think
Well, let's,
In absence of that, if we're not able to do that at this point, then I would just want, at a minimum, I would want flow monitoring at the same locations where
and Wright
they
Pierce,
previously assumed it was supposed to.
before they do their review, they would like the flow monitoring and the manholes that they designate.
Right.
Rather than us pick them and then they go and do their report as it was in the past, so. Because they're the engineers that before they sign off on it, they want to make sure that the flow is
Right.
it's where they want it to be.
But they did sign off on it. I'm a little confused. It just seems they signed off on it, correct? Right, Pierce. So I'm assuming they were happy with what was presented.
Yes, they were.
they were happy with the flow going into the pipe where the project is located. They didn't look down the road or anything else.
Why didn't they look down the road? If they're signing off on it, I would assume they
I
would.
don't think they were asked to look.
Then, no, I'm not, then why are we having them look at it?
This is just a time gap.
No, I'm just
Or
kind of questioning the thing.
process, if a month or less ago, this application came in, Wright Pierce is telling them where to flow monitor and then reviewing the results. We have them reviewing the results because this is now in our system.
Applicant
But I guess-
forward at risk. So this was prior to.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that Wright Pierce is taking into account the other proposed flows that we've approved. They have that information.
Well, where are we tracking that information? So this is something for us to work on with Wright Pierce because we need a tracking method for these decisions that is outside of keeping meeting minutes.
And I'm assuming we've added more flow to these lines since 2022 or more proposed flow to these lines since 2022.
The only proposal was that that gas station on South Benson and Post Road, which depending on where John tells me that goes in, does it go in on South Benson or does it go into Post Road and
Planet Pizza? Planet Pizza is what you're talking about?
not Planet Pizza. There's a gas station. It was there forever. And a pizza applicant came in. And we gave them permission. It was a very small,
The old BP station.
yes, the old BP station. We approved a pizza place. They never developed it or anything. And the only other place along there is Chick-fil-A. Those are the only two things that are in that area that would be, and I don't know if they're coming into that pipe along Post Road or they go in on North Benson and South Benson respectively.
That I don't know.
Okay, but that's the question.
Eventually, they're gonna get to that same.
Eventually, yeah, eventually, but it's a 24-inch line.
Right.
So
I don't know where they come out.
yeah, that was the question.
And have we done any more tests on that 24-inch line after 2022? Has any applicant come in? Is that made to the pizza?
Now, the pizza place didn't come in again. That project.
Did all the-
I don't think any flow monitoring's been done on that trunk on South Benson.
Right. And the only thing I will say is we do have, you've said it before, you didn't think we had a precedent. We do have a precedent. The Masonic Temple, in settlement of that lawsuit, used data that Fairfield University developed on that South Benson line, if you recall.
But that was not dated data though.
No, that was current data.
Right, yeah, that's, I'm,
Shared current.
I didn't
I was just saying,
opine on
shared-
that
It was
piece.
shared data.
If they get their hands on current data in an area where our consulting engineer says that that's acceptable for their review,
Then you're fine.
I don't care where it comes from. I mean, we have the smart covers, like if they request data from John and John has it
Mhm.
and decides to give it to him, that's fine by me.
Okay.
My current issue with this
It's 2 years.
is that it's 2022 data and it's 2024.
Right.
And there's no other flow monitoring that's done that we could provide to the applicant.
There might be. I mean, that's,
That was,
Only Fairfield U, I mean, in that area, that of recent note anyway.
Fairfield U isn't going to be measuring where he's coming in
No, right.
along
So-
Post Road. Fairfield U's coming down North Benson.
Right.
So that's not going to help.
so there's no existing data.
There's no applicant that we've had in the last X years that
Okay.
their flow monitoring will.
I guess my only question is, wouldn't Wright Pierce, that image I was showing you folks was from their report. So they know where the metering was done. I think they would have recommended metering at different locations. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but just reading their report and that diagram they shared, that was their diagram where the metering was done. So this was thoroughly reviewed, I would say.
But I agree, but I think in the report, they do state that this data is 2 years old.
Yeah, they say it's
Correct.
important to note that the flow metering was conducted over 2 years ago.
Correct.
That's the headache for us.
Got it. And just to note, the capacity is at 50%
understood.
with our proposed flows.
Yeah, the data shows you're good, but
Right.
they're just
Right.
questioning.
It's
the
the,
time-
it's
time frame.
procedural.
Right. I get the whole conundrum of the precedent setting, and I get it.
Especially with the number of lawsuits that we've been dealing with lately.
I get it.
So I don't want to be setting procedural issues, which this is. So
Right.
But is it really a procedural issue?
it is to me.
It's up to our discretion.
Right. I'm expressing my opinion. We can vote on it.
I think you know, if there's been nothing added to the line
Understood.
and we don't have any major proposed and it's at 50% of a 24-inch RCP. And
The engineer in me agrees with you. Chair of the WPCA agrees strongly. I've had a lot of emails lately that I don't like, so. And they're
Yeah,
from
it's not-
lawyers.
I think we can all agree, it's not an engineering problem.
Right, no, this is purely a procedural issue.
Can we do a conditional approval based on
No.
updated flow?
We did it.
We do those anymore.
Conditional approval once, 15 Umpqua. It's still in court. No, no, I'm going to speak strongly about recommending never to do a procedural, never to do a continuum type.
And on the, and if we ask for flow monitoring, can we use our, what's the process now? Is that either they do it or we would provide or we would do the flow?
If they're doing new flow monitoring, then Wright Pierce would recommend meter locations that they would install.
And we don't use our smart covers for this.
We can do it, but then they have that flat fee on the INI when they pull their permit. We can, I mean, yeah,
No,
they-
I'm just trying to get for timing for them, so they have all the answers that how long would our smart covers take compared to your flow monitor?
they could do it faster than we can, I think. So, I mean,
We could.
Hopefully it
We
rains.
could what?
Well, we could move it.
Right.
We can move a smart cover 5 minutes.
Just,
And how long after you moved it would you be able to, how long do you keep them in place to get a good read? Two rainstorms, right?
If we moved it in 5 minutes, we might be able to catch tomorrow.
right, yeah. It's gonna be a dud to me.
The smart covers, we have those placed strategically for certain reasons right now. So I would just be hesitant to offer change in place.
I agree.
They are located where they're located for a reason.
so the timing's not gonna work, so.
That wasn't the intent of us buying smart covers, is to just
Right.
move them because applicants want them moved, so.
So their appearance in front of TPZ will be contingent on Wright Pierce finishing this, right? Updated flow monitoring.
No, they would go to TP and Z. Depending on how often, let's assume we vote no. They will go to TP and Z and TP and Z will know that sewer commission said no with conditions you have to
We
remonitor.
just need updated monitoring data.
But they will not go, I mean, they can do whatever they want, but our minutes should show that it's not conditioned on anything. It's conditioned on them going back.
And it's not a requirement to have WPCA approval for them to appear in front of.
Yeah, it is sort of, but zoning, that's up to zoning then to make the exception. They don't like it when we haven't approved it and they get it. That's, I mean, but that's more custom than anything else. I don't think there are rules
Right.
that prevent it.
Yeah, exactly. That dumb word.
Can I butt in here for about 2 minutes?
Sure, go ahead, Ron.
Okay. I don't really talk that much at these meetings, could do a lot of listening. I kind of, I kind of look at it like this would be setting a precedence. Every developer that comes through here and, wants whether it be 3, 4 houses or whether it be 50 units. The same thing holds true is that, and Joe says it every time we produces make a motion, is that for 2 years. Once that 2 years is up, they got to come back. And if we do this and not do the 2 year, what's preventing developers going forward that just says, you did it for them. So that's kind of what my thought is there. And the other thing is with the weather that it's been like in the last, seems like forever, we really haven't had a good rainstorm. So I'm not sure it's going to show in the pipes. That's it.
So,
That's my
Ron,
5 minutes.
with respect to your first point, just to clarify, the precedent that we'd be setting here is using 2-year-old rainfall data. We would still have a 2-year limit no matter what we do in terms of
Okay.
approvals. But the
Okay.
issue is that right now, we'd be using 2-year-old data. In 2 years, it would be 4-year-old data if we were still trying to leverage that.
Got it.
Your second point is well taken. It's been extremely dry. So.
That's it for me.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Motion?
To. Person.
I'll give you this item.
Motion to consider, discuss or motion to approve connection of a proposed multi-unit residential complex at 441 Post Road.
You want the motion? The motion, I make a motion to allow the proposed development at 441 Post Road consisting of 185 studio / 1-bedroom units, 65 2-bedroom units, and a hotel, representing a total GPD of 123,638 to connect to the Fairfield sewer system. The approval will be valid for 2 years from today. After 2 years, the applicant must reapply for extended approval. If an extension of the time is requested, the WPCA at its sole discretion may require an updated sewer capacity analysis. The applicant will be required to pay the I&I fees in effect at the time the permits are issued, and the fixed I&I will be waived for this project if the permits are issued within the initial 2-year approval window.
Second.
All in favor?
I'll go with that one.
So 3 in favor? Opposed?
3.
I have to abstain.
3 and 1 abstention. What does that mean?
That means it didn't pass.
So it didn't pass. Okay.
You need the
Good
majority.
bad.
So now you might want to have another motion as to give this gentleman direction as to what he should be doing.
I could use some guidance there.
Or just walk away. I mean, you don't need to. I mean, maybe you should ask the question, what he should be thinking of doing next.
I guess well, I think I
so-
know what the direction is.
Yeah, we need flow monitoring data that's not 2 years old.
So we'll figure it out.
Some of the other no's.
Was that it? That's what I gathered.
That was
from
my
here.
problem, yeah.
There were 3 no's.
Does anybody, yeah.
That would cover everybody. That was the issue with everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, otherwise.
So it's updated. It's updated flow monitoring.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item number 2, is that, it said tentative next to it. Are we on for this item?
It indicates tentative because our third-party consultant, Wright Pierce, was unable to complete a review of the full application. This is based on no flow projections or narrative provided with the request that was submitted. Given that, Wright Pierce did note that this is at a dead end manhole with no flow. So even if Wright Pierce does have that additional data, there wouldn't be a reason for Wright Pierce to review any type of capacity analysis calculations. This is a parcel that's outside of our sewer service area.
So there is no flow monitoring to be had because it's. No.
The manhole they would be connected to, is a dead man, basically. It's at the end of the line and there's no flow there.
But why wouldn't we go down to stream?
Further down the line.
To the next manhole.
It would. Right? So if they were connecting into the dead end manhole, it would go down they were connecting a lateral go out to the street.
But I'm this is just for flow monitoring, that they don't have, Wright Pierce couldn't conduct finish their report because they didn't have adequate flow monitoring.
They have no flow projections or narrative in regards to the flow that would be contributed.
Oh, they don't have any flow projections from the applicant.
The applicant.
So we don't know what the applicant's gonna put there.
And it's outside of our service area, which is the other consideration.
What did we have to amend our service area to get them into it?
That's correct. And we'd have to have justification to do so.
This is the vet center?
No, it's
Here, across the street from
Oh, this is the daycare.
the old Chase Bank.
I feel like we did this already.
That was Hillside. What's the address?
But I thought
Pretty gone to zoning.
we had given them approval to connect.
I thought we already did this.
They had a private pipe they were gonna run.
That's a different address.
That's a different address, okay.
This is the vet.
This is 186.
186-212.
186-212 Hillside.
Oh, this is across the street?
This
This is
is-
connection of daycare facility.
right. This is the daycare facility.
But that's what we did before.
It's the same building. It's that one. It's the old bank.
It's a Chase.
Oh.
That's
We
already.
did.
This is not the Chase. No? No,
What's the vet?
that's the veterinary.
Well, that would be different.
Is that what the,
Old, that the one across the street, the old Greenfield Hill?
Is there a daycare going in there too, potentially?
Dr. Marsh.
I thought he was staying there and expanding, or was he moving?
No, he expanded down the street.
Across from Greenfield. now.
Yeah,
This is another
Is that vacant and that could possibly be another daycare
I
facility?
guess maybe it's an extension of the
Sure,
one
it
that's
could be
across the
right.
street.
We don't have,
the veterinary clinic used to be septic.
They are septic.
They are septic, not used.
They're gonna want to tie in, that's a different project and proposal. But they're gonna want to eventually tie into, it's gonna be probably.
yeah, so this is the survey on our backup information. This is for across the street.
And there's nobody on the line that's,
Someone has their hand raised.
there's somebody that can explain it to us?
You're muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
He's having issues unmuting.
He's speaking, but we can't hear him.
Can I unmute him?
We can't hear you, Kurt.
You can only request it.
We'll request it, see if he can accept it.
This is not Chase Bank. That's the Chase Bank.
It's the vet.
Can you make him a presenter?
This sounds like it's a different project.
This is a different building.
It is a different project in the same vicinity.
The vet, okay. It does sound different.
Chase Bank out of our service area.
First one was Chase Bank.
Present it.
Service area.
I put the request on, see what happens. Oh, you did? Request sent.
Can't click on his name.
No.
Kurt, if you come back in on the web-based, that's what I was on. That might not the app. Hop off and hop back on the web-based.
Do we want to, can we proceed while we're waiting for him to?
I think he's right here, isn't he? Isn't this the guy?
No.
So,
This is the
No,
first guy.
that was,
so that was,
No, that
Yeah, can we, okay. While he's working out his, can we move on? Yeah. Item 3 under new business? Do we have to do something to formally do that, or can we just move on and then go back? Just go. Okay, all right, item 3, to discuss and.
He's back.
Oh, here he is, okay.
Still can't hear him.
Still muted though.
Still muted.
Okay, how about that?
There we go.
All right. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Appreciate you guys bearing with me. Yeah, for clarity, I saw that on the agenda. So this is 186-212. It's one property. It's listed at 2 different addresses depending on where you're looking. It is the old Marsh Veterinary property. It is not a daycare facility. That's 161 Hillside. My firm actually represented them earlier. We were in front of you back in March. You did approve that connection, which also similar to this was an extension. So currently the main on Hillside ends at the property next door to 161. We proposed back in March to extend it to in front of the 161 property, which you approved. And a few months ago, we were approached by the owner of 186-212, whichever address you want to call it, to investigate a potential connection for his property. They are on septic now. The septic system has actually failed, and there's not viable space on the property to replace the septic system. So they're really in a tricky situation here. For connection. So what you have in front of you is an extension on top of the extension for 161 Hillside. I heard the comments earlier that the third-party reviewer has stated that we've not provided any narrative for the connection or projected flows from the property. It's all included in our sewer report, which you all should have. There's no proposed change of use here. It's really just a connection, an extension and connection. So there's what was the veterinary office, which is a commercial building for lack of a better word, and then there's also a residential structure. I believe it's 2 bedrooms, a 2-bedroom residential structure on the property. We have water bills to show what the flows currently are on the property. And we use those, applying a peaking factor of 4 as standard practice for what the projected flows would be coming into the system. The flow monitoring was done back in 2023, just down the road on Bronson, right past the intersection of Hillside and Bronson. At that point, the pipe capacity was approximately 40%. Adding in the 161 Hillside flows, plus the existing flows from this property that now are going to be added in, we're talking about less than 1% increase. So essentially, we're looking at just shy of 41% pipe capacity by allowing this extension and connection of this property. I haven't seen any comments from Wright Pierce, but from an engineering, from a practical perspective, there's plenty of capacity in the pipe, and this property really isn't in a dire need to connect here because of the failing septic system.
Can I, for clarification, Kurt, you don't mind?
Mm-hmm.
When we approved in March, you were going to, if I recall, and I don't have it in front of me, you're going to have a pipe come across the property, and then you were going to put a pipe in the street?
Correct. Do you want me to bring up the site plan?
I think it's just a simple question. I don't think you need to do a site plan. Where are they proposing to connect this applicant, this 186-212 applicant, into the street or into your private? Not into your private pipe coming into the street.
No. So there's going to be an extension in the town right away in Hillside. It's going to extend through the intersection with Hill Farm, just past that intersection. There'll be a termination manhole there, and then the sewer lateral from the 186-212 will tie directly into that new manhole that'll be installed.
Okay, so the pipe you're putting in the street will have a separate lateral than the previous property for them to connect
That's
to.
correct. That's
Thank
correct.
you. Thank you. It's almost a question of the timing, which
Well-
is going to come first.
We've actually thought about that as well, and I've connected the two property owners, and they're planning to use the same contractor. Right now, Tallman has been hired by the 161 Hillside property, so the intent would be to use them to do both properties simultaneously, which would be in the coming months.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I got a question. Are they in our sewer use area? Don't we have a sewer use map? And do we have a designated sewer use map? So if it's out of the area, do we have to amend the map? Just,
That's a different question. That's to us, that question.
I guess that's,
That's-
oh, sorry,
That's not to him.
Oh, no, that would be to us.
Yeah.
So we do have our sewer service area map. A question I have, because I wasn't here in March, was did we approve an amendment to include the property right across the street to connect?
We approved one of the properties that we approved for them to put a pipe in the street and for the original one, the original property, not this one, to connect. And then they would then turn the pipe over to the town, the pipe in the street over to the town. Now, what Kurt's saying, I think, is that pipe, based on the timing, is going to be in the street. The original March people that we approved, which was the bank, is connecting.
Yeah.
So that, answering Chris's question, we should add that to our service area. And then the secondary property, the vet,
Yeah,
should
so-
be allowed to connect on that lateral.
We need to go through the process of amending the SSA.
Did I get that right, Kurt? Or,
Yes, yes. So there's going to be a manhole that was approved
So
in
you have to
March
do it now.
that 161 will connect to. Then there'll be another section of pipe off of that manhole going towards this property, and then another final manhole, and then this property will connect to that manhole.
right.
As of today, they're on septic, so they're not in the.
We have to amend the map to include both these properties.
So yeah, in accordance with the state statutes, the request should come from the applicant. So it should be a formal request from the applicant for the town to consider amendment of the sanitary sewer area map, service area map.
Okay. Is this just something you need
Pipe
included
in
in
the
the narrative
street.
itself, or is this a
Golf
separate
course.
application you would need?
I don't remember expanding on.
I think it would be a separate application, and I think that would go through the attorneys for a separate application for the amended sewer map.
Okay.
That's, I don't.
Is
I
there
don't
a
know the
standard
process.
application form that?
I don't
that
know what
is
the
on?
process is, and there's not a standard application form. So to answer your question, applicant, I think that it needs to come in as a formal request. It could come in as an addendum to your initial application.
Okay.
My question related to this application, you were talking about capacity, flow data and everything. I didn't see that in any of the attachments. And was that, I mean, that's something that should have been reviewed and approved by Wright Pierce.
It's all part of our sewer analysis report.
I just
I
didn't
don't
see
know
it.
if maybe a piece didn't get sent to you, but it's all one compiled report.
We only have the plan, the authorization letter, and the survey.
Yeah, I've been looking through it.
I think perhaps the submission package didn't get fully forwarded to all the members of the commission then. I
Right.
can resend it tomorrow morning as one compiled zip file if that's easiest for everybody, or hard copies, whatever's needed, but that's certainly all a part of it. EST did the flow monitoring back in 2023. It's the same package essentially that we submitted with the 161 Hillside connection proposal.
Does he have it? Can he share it on screen?
Well, I guess
Yeah.
my concern is that also Wright Pierce didn't review it
The
either.
next question is, speaking of precedent, you know, I wasn't here when we started to engage the third party consultant, but are we in a position to be approving applications that haven't been reviewed by our third party consultant, and what kind of
They're
precedent
not.
does that, what kind of precedent does that set?
I mean, that's why we engage the third parties, so that they can review and provide recommendations for approval.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So Kurt, if we postpone this to next month's meeting, does that affect you in any way?
No, I mean, I think that would probably clean up a lot of these kind of open-ended things. I'll make sure that
Exactly.
you all
Sounds
have
great.
all the appropriate documents. Hopefully Wright Pierce can turn theirs around, and then we'll put together a letter if everybody thinks that's a reasonable approach for the expansion of the sewer shed.
I would feel a lot better about everything if
Cool.
that happened. For one, I'm not a unilateral decision, in my opinion.
Kurt, let me ask you the question again, because I was quick with saying if we get it done with it for the next meeting. If we postpone our December meeting, which happens sometimes, how does January look to you?
Well,
What,
for me, it's okay. I mean, Dr. Marsh, who owns the property, will certainly want this approved sooner rather than later. But look, I understand the process is what it is. And, you know, I know you have the new third-party consultant coming in, so.
Failing septic system.
Yeah,
That's a consideration.
Yeah, that's a
I'm happy to
consideration that, but
meeting
I,
if we needed
but
to
I could also, I mean,
get this
through
done.
you, Mr. Chair, I could also make a motion that would depend on the desk approving it based on getting the flow data, getting Wright Pierce to approve it. If that all has happened, I would give the authority over to the desk to do it rather than the
Fine with
commission can do a motion like that
Sure.
if it becomes critical. We've done that in the past.
That would be great if we could do it that way. Because I mean, look,
Well, that's why I was
they're very
asking
well
about, we may not
connected.
have that meeting,
Sure, yeah, exactly.
so.
I'm fine with either that, or if all of our i's are dotted and t's are crossed, I'd be fine having a quick special meeting to do this as a formality, because I understand that this process is.
I don't think we'll have a problem with our office, right, Michelle? If it's a failing septic system, that it gets into health issues and.
There's the one consideration of extending the service area, which I don't know if that could be accomplished through the sewer department solely.
Yeah, that's the problem. The timing of that may be an issue.
So
This is left over from 161 Hillside's decision.
Yeah, this is the other one. Yes, I have to look at the addresses too. Yeah, we should have done it when we
Yeah.
did
Correct.
March.
Or they should have.
But be honest, we better also look at the golf course over in Southport. We put a line in there. I don't ever.
Okay, separate business, separate business.
Let's stay on task.
Okay,
All right, so so we need a motion to, what, to postpone?
no, I would like to make a motion that we vote on approving it contingent on a number of things that we'll put in the motion,
Okay,
that once accomplished, the desk will be able to execute the approval.
please, is that the motion?
Almost. I think we should put a little more detail behind it.
Yeah,
but-
that makes sense.
So let's go with the motion, and it's gonna be fits and starts, I have a feeling. So when
Get
we
ready.
get to the minutes, we'll figure it out.
Get ready to make
I'd like to make a motion to consider, I'd like to make a motion to approve the extension of the sewer line and sewer lateral connection for 186-212 Hillside Road. This approval will be for a 2-year period. I'll do the stuff I know first. This approval is also contingent, this approval will be allowed to be executed by the WPCA desk based on the following contingent events to be executed properly by the applicant. Okay, number one, we need to get the monitoring, right? So
just
No.
capacity real quick.
submit number one, submit the capacity report for the property to the WPCA office. Number two, the approval of that capacity report by Wright Pierce And any any issues, discrepancies be resolved between Wright Pierce, to be resolved until Wright Pierce has approved the capacity. And number three, the application, it's an application, we don't need
For a formal request.
a formal request for the set, for the, and a formal request
To have that location included in the sewer.
that the location of the service be included in the town service map, sewer service map. Anything else?
Second?
Second.
We'll clean up the words. I mean, I did.
You forgot what the use would be for the property, so it has a commercial and a residence on it? So are you gonna include, bedrooms and the size of commercial in this, approval?
Gonna have to.
We don't want blanket approvals.
So,
Yes,
so what,
for these dim-
so on that approval, we're gonna have to put, what's the bedroom of the, residence?
It's a 2-bedroom. And then we also have water use data for the commercial property. So both of those are included in the report. So you'll have an approved flow associated with the property.
But usually we have our approvals, I guess you
Flow now.
You do it on gallons per day.
Yeah, that's what I did
Yeah.
on the last one, gallons per day.
So we would take your average daily flow.
With a
Wait,
peaking
are you-
factor of 4 on it. Even though we're not changing the use, but for consistency, we did apply the peaking factor of 4 to it.
And what was that?
Hang on one second.
That's the approved flow.
So the average flow from the site, this is including both uses, would be 777 gallons per day. Putting the peaking factor of 4 on there, you're looking at 3,110 gallons.
Okay, so I think we should make an amend, or.
Before you do that, we should also talk about that the fees will be paid when the permits are issued.
And say, yeah, isn't there the application that they need to submit?
Well,
Do I have to make that amendment? You throw that in there.
there's a motion on the floor, unfortunately, that you want to amend the motion by adding this, by adding what you just said.
Correct.
Okay, so now you've got another motion that you've got to get a second for, and I'll second his motion.
Doesn't have to say it first.
He said it. Did he say it?
It doesn't have to say all of the words though.
I think he said it. I think we got it.
Joel.
I think we'll get it out in the minutes.
So we'll get that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just the flow.
310 gallons per day.
Yeah.
3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
I was like, wait, you're off by that.
For both properties.
Right.
Commercial and residential.
Correct.
Okay, and
And fees to be paid.
the I&I fees based on that flow will be paid when the permit is approved. That's the second, that's the motion on some. That's on the table.
And then is the flat rate waived? Or not?
Yeah, we might as well because we're
We're not
Yeah.
requiring.
yeah. And including the flat I&I fee will be waived for this application. So we got those, that's the second motion right here.
Okay. Second,
I'll second it.
okay. So all in favor of the amended motion? Unanimous. All right.
We'll get discussion on the original unless we've had enough
We've
discussion.
had enough discussion.
Up to you, Chair.
Can I ask just one more procedural question, everyone, on the topic
Yes.
of the extending the sewer shed or the sewer service map area? I think we're good on this one. How about for 161 Hillside, being that I'm involved in
Same
both
one,
projects?
isn't
Do I need another formal
I think by
request? for
doing
that?
this one, you're taking care of the other one.
Same one? It's not because it's the same pipe in the street.
It's, you're,
Two
I
connections.
think by you requesting it, they would be connected into it. I think that would be more procedural on our end.
Okay, I just want to make sure you don't need two separate, so I don't hang 161 up when they go to try to pull the work down the road.
There's only one pipe in the street. right?
No, but you include the properties in the,
Service
in the
map?
Service map.
Oh,
So right now, they're requesting this property here, the sewer's down here.
Go back and
Got it.
the original one.
So I don't know if we could amend the map to include everything, or they have to, each property owner would have to
Apply.
apply.
I don't know that one.
I don't know that one.
All uncharted territory for me.
Kurt, why don't you do one for each?
That's a good idea.
Okay.
I mean,
I would think that, yeah. you-
Better to
do
do
one
that.
for each, and this way we don't have any issues.
All right, fair enough.
These things?
We have to vote on the original motion now, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
I'm not aware of a fee.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
Unanimous, all right, great. So this is approved contingent upon approval, acceptance at the, so this does not have to come back to us.
This does not have to come back to us as long as the desk can resolve it.
Great.
I don't think you'll have a problem with it, John. It's, I've been the street, two levels connecting.
Just the service.
All right, item number 3 of new business to discuss and.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
To discuss and act on sewer use bill adjustments. 583 Reef Road. 581 Reef Road LLC. Running toilet. Got this. Of course.
Okay, so 581, 583 Reef Road is 1 meter. And what's happened is they had a running toilet, and the two buildings are multi-tenant buildings. Okay, in 2021, their bill was $617. In 2022, their bill was $567. And their latest bill was $6,018.24. So there was a concern and a problem. And after they received the bill, they contacted their contractor, and it was discovered on their side, which has been completed because of the submission of the repair bills, that they had a couple of running toilets. Yeah. He removed, I think he said 3 or 4 on the, so the toilets were repaired, and looking at their latest month, it's back down to a normal range. So I'd like to make a motion to adjust the 2023 sewer assessment for 581, 583 Reef Road from $6,078.24 to $609.72, which represents the average usage of the previous 2 years multiplied by the current rate.
Second,
Second.
Chris, discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
At least you're consistent.
Much look.
There's no responsibility. No one has any responsibility
Yeah.
to fix anything.
Can we, I guess we can't discuss until the next one comes up, but I'm
You
with.
can pose with me.
Yeah.
I said discussion, nobody discussed. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Let's keep going,
It's crazy.
because we got another one. 80 Christmas Tree Lane, running toilet. Joe?
I'd like to make a motion to adjust the 2023 sewer assessment for 80 Christmas Tree Lane from $4,199.04 to $827.46, which represents last year's computed usage multiplied by the updated current rate.
What was the cost?
That we bill them $4,199.04, but they've been averaging in the $700-800 range.
Second?
over the last 2021 and 22 is what.
Second by Chris. Discussion.
Yeah, so one question is, does the commission track any of these? Like Lantern Point came up and I thought we had done one for Lantern Point last session too, or 2 sessions ago. It seems like a one striking you're out situation to me, over the past 5 years or 3 years or some kind of, I don't know who would track that, but
My understanding is Aquarion does that. So if you, because on the water side, they do a one-time, that's fine. I don't know, are we tracking their
I
credit?
tracked it from a couple of years ago
Yeah,
to now. I go back and look at the minutes.
okay.
It's only 2 meetings typically, and I just go look at the addresses of what we've done
Okay.
in the past, because I agree. I mean, we can't let it go forever. Chris will just have a heart attack if we get the same people coming in.
Right.
crazy.
So I'm confused. You said Lantern Point?
That when I was looking through the backup for the last application,
And
Lantern Point Management.
Lantern Point Management manages more properties than just this one. I was also concerned because Lantern Point, this was a different address of one of their properties. So you know, on this one.
Right, I didn't have
Agree with you.
enough search to be able to.
I agree with you on that. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have not, as far as I can tell, in the last 8 years, giving an adjustment to the same address
Yeah, I don't remember.
year after year.
Within the last 4
We
years.
did do, prior to that, we used to have the same people coming in, the nurseries, the cement factory, and a couple of other properties that used to come in year after year.
That's
and-
totally different.
And we changed the process through the tax department
Sure.
so that they don't show up anymore.
Because their water. was-
Those are high water users that don't go into.
And there was a farm on
Most of
Fairfield Beach Road.
this-
No,
Where this water is going into the system.
Yes.
Um,
And it's not a resident. These are, they're multi-units and they're renting them out. So they're landlords, but should be taking care of it. So they're making money on it and they should be taking care of their stuff.
Shame it's us, when they get our bill, that's when they realize they got a problem.
And Aquarion's probably sending a landlord a notice.
So Aquarian gives a one-time adjustment for 1 year, 1 month,
One forever
The owner.
is their policy.
right, sorry, I don't cover that bill in my household. That bill comes how often?
Monthly.
They said we
Yeah,
were-
the aquarium bill this month.
It does, okay.
Yeah,
So they will do a one-time adjustment on 1 month of the bill.
They know this.
They do a one-time adjustment, not necessarily on one time of the bill. As a resident, you could negotiate with them. They're very cheap about it, if I might say it in public, as to what they do. But we don't follow what they do, but it's not necessarily 1 month. They will make an adjustment. Sometimes it's a function that people have gone away for the summer or the winter and they're not picking it up for 3, 4, 5 months.
Right.
And they go to Aquarian and Aquarian makes an adjustment.
So sorry, the application process for this is listed where, and was that approved by the commission at some point? To apply for this relief?
No, we always handle it and they
It
just.
predates me. I've been on 8 years and they did it
They
prior.
email-
Go to the tax collectors.
Yeah.
Go to the office of the tax collector.
And they clearly, someone tells them that they have to provide a repair bill.
Yes.
What else do they have to provide?
They have to provide the last 3 months or
The water bill.
Water usage bill. So when we review it, we could see where the spike was and where it went down. If they have a pool and they're gonna fill it up, spring, whatever, it might spike, but that's kind of,
Well, no, it does, the pool in the spring doesn't count.
right, it doesn't
We
count.
measure it from December to April.
April, yeah, no, I know that.
Something
doesn't
like
count.
this happens, with toilet running for a certain period of time, we could determine that there was a spike. And then it was rectified and then it came down according to the graph.
And the only ones that now come in front of us is it's $1,000 threshold?
2,000.
Right. So
Give an accounting of how much.
we used to have $100 ones in front of us and a lot of them.
The tax collector handles anything $2,000 and under. We used to get, I'd say 25 to 50 of these a year.
I understand, I'm saying do
30 to 60.
an accounting of how much is handled administratively versus here. Like, do we have an understanding of what's the value that we approve each year? In just, in
We probably lost that 2 years ago when we turned it over to the tax.
Yeah.
Question for us to ask the tax collector.
He's got it.
Water that we're processing and not being paid for.
right,
Yeah, David.
But functionally, it's the equivalent of inflow in our system. It's just extra inflow.
Yeah.
We don't really have to treat it, but, and I guess if it did happen during high rain events, then it could contribute to an SSO.
why don't we have to treat it?
Well, I mean, it goes through our system.
Yeah.
But it's not really dirty water.
It's clean water.
It's inflow. It's the same as stormwater coming into our system.
We did have a person that came to us every year. She stopped coming. I guess her kids grew up. In December, she used to fill up her ice skating rink. And that used to drive her water bill way up. And probably 3-4 years in a row, she came to us. But that has seemed to have stopped over these last few years. What happened there?
And they play in the NHL and they can afford their own.
Any further discussion on 80 Christmas Tree Lane? Favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
Consistency.
Consistent with that.
Item number 5, operational status updates, the removal, replacement, and recontrolling of digester boilers.
Digester boilers have been ordered. I just got a note from the contractor today. They're supposed to ship mid-December. So if that happens, great, but don't hold your breath. We also have the new control system on order. We contacted Siemens. They came out, looked at the old archaic one and had a retrofit. So that'll be done. We also have a rental boiler on standby, for as much as they can hold it. So when they do the replacement of the two, this rental will be out there running and will maintain the digester temperature. We won't be saying, hey, hurry up, get that one done, because they both, especially in the winter, they run simultaneously. We will also change out the circulators. We'll have them rebuilt. So once the new boilers are in, new circulators, it's over, it's done. And 25 years from now, we'll redo it again. So that's going along better than expected.
When they come in, how long is the replacement?
They haven't said yet. I mean, we just guesstimating in my head, I'm giving them a week per boiler, so 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, but unforeseen things can happen, especially with us, but I think we have a good game plan. We've looked at everything before this is even gonna commence, so I think we've well prepared and ready for hopefully anything.
Any other questions?
Just one update to the commission. After this came in front of the commission, the boiler replacement last month, that was a Wednesday, so 2 days later, on a Friday, one of the boilers failed. So it ended up being an emergency situation.
It did get repaired, thank God. So both of them are operational right now. And that's why we kind of scrambled to get a rental. And then it's like, yep, we'll get it to you next week. We got a new one coming in. Then we said, oh, wait a minute, working, but they're very good. United Rentals being on our side, and they're kind of holding one off to the side for us. So I'm going to give them an update tomorrow. And he says, as long as there's no big rush, we should be okay.
Yeah. Sounds good. Number 2 under operational status updates, Cherney Creek siphon replacement project bypass.
Bypass started November 5th. Terry Contracting has 4 pumps hooked up to that one manhole chamber that they set up. 2 diesels, 2 electric. Right now, only 1 electric is working. They're waiting for UI to set another box for the second one. Ironically, we kind of saw in the smart cover just upstream, when they started doing the bypass, you've got pumps that are kind of waiting for the level to come up to pull it down. So we saw a spike, an oscillation, if you will. They ended up installing a VFD on the electric, kind of smoothed it out. So they have a good plan in place to keep the flow going. We, as the town, contacted Connecticut Deep just to let them know that the Riverside Drive siphon is no longer in use. We're on a bypass. It'll be about 9 months. So everybody's aware, everybody knows, and Terry Contracting's been doing a good job so far with what's been running and what's been happening over there. So no complaints.
And the operational sequence is 1 electric and 1 diesel simultaneous? Or?
1 electric, diesel backup, and it's supposed to be the other electric, then the other diesel. But like I said, 1 electric is not. I think they still got 3 weeks to go before the UI is going to get there.
Okay.
How many siphons are going to wind up there, the new one? There's a reason I'm asking.
Possibly none. It might be now gravity. They found a way.
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
And so all the discussions Joe had with
Oh, God.
siphons and stuff might have been for naught.
The town was going to pick up that 900,000 at the end of the day. We weren't going to pay a penny for our siphon or 2 or 3. It was up to 3 at one point, and then it became none. Well done. That's a crazy story. Okay.
Any other questions? Moving on, capital improvement projects updates, secondary digester cleaning and repair.
That's what we just discussed. But
I entered the secondary digester last Friday. Still accessible via scaffolding. If you want to come in, I highly recommend it. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Needs to be century trained though.
You just.
No.
I mean, I'll take.
Ain't going because mine's expired, so.
Oh, mine's probably.
I think you've been updated that the cleaning went very well. There was a lot less solids in there than anticipated. The repair work, there's a bunch of ballast blocks that we were really concerned about. They're all around the inner circumference of the tank, and they have metal supports. We went in there, and I can say that the supports looked like they put them in. The paint is still on there. The bolts are in great shape. The concrete, I mean, all the ballast blocks are perfect, which is remarkable. The rollers that guide the cover when it floats, the rails that they ride in, basically U-shaped, the bottom parts rotted out. Subsequently, a couple of the rollers kind of kicked over, and when the cover tried to raise, they caught the edge and bent them. Hence the reason it's not raising properly. There's a plan in place to remove and replace the guides. We already ordered the rollers. We pre-ordered those, so those are on site. So they are just getting a welder there to cut open a hole, get the old tracks out, put the new tracks in, wheels, paint a few pipes that are inside for draw off that are in remarkable condition. I mean, the pipe thickness is perfect. So knock on wood, hopefully by the end of December, we're good to go. SpectraServe has been very responsive, very good. So no complaints.
Right. Excellent.
And Chris, no other complaints.
Going good.
Questions?
If you want to go in the tank, call me up. Put a harness on you and hook you up to a rope and you can go in.
Still go at lunchtime. You're not coming out till 1.
Propelling into the digester.
It's great. It's something.
I can imagine.
No, it's great.
We need a fundraiser, propelling into the digester.
Ask for a lot of.
Wear an air supply or?
You have to sign a release before you go.
They have, there's plenty of air going in there, but they have a venter, blower up top. There's a gas meter in there.
Go ahead, try it.
There's no issue. No issue. You just have to wear a harness because if they have to
Right.
crank you up, they're cranking.
You can't do it on your own power.
But I'll tell you, it's a short ladder and then there's scaffolding. It's basically walking down a set of stairs to the bottom. I highly recommend it. Be a great Christmas gift for somebody.
So I don't have to buy my wife a Christmas gift anymore.
Did you do the full tour for the old PE series in town? You can add this to your.
Yeah, no, that would be nice.
Once in a lifetime.
Item number 2, Phase 5 I&I sewer rehab.
Update on that. So we've received the 90% bid package and we reviewed it and provided our comments back to Wright Pierce. We expect the 100% design package in 3 weeks from now, and we expect to advertise the bid in January. Our schedule is to start construction at the very beginning of April. It's going to be a 12 to 18 month project. The list of affected streets and manholes have been shared with the other utility companies that service the area. So we've already begun that coordination.
Is there a project manager already built?
Wright Pierce is going to be PM for this. Yeah. Internally, we do have the newer capital projects and operations office. So internally, we do have a construction manager assigned as well.
Yes, and maybe it's a John question. I don't think you've been here long enough. Wright Pierce completed that phase 5 report, their phase 5 report, probably a year and a half late. Has any work been done on I&I phase 4? When did phase 4 complete? There's an awful lot of time, 2-3 years between phase 4 completing
Well, I don't know when
phase 5.
did, but the last work was done last September. I mean, as far as construction work, lining the pipe in Southport at the end of the Center Street force main.
But that was,
Most significant undertaking.
That
we've
was the-
but
added
that
all
was,
the
that was an emergency. That wasn't, remember that was an emergency,
Phase 5 was the most,
Comprehensive.
right?
it was $362,000, I think. So that included smoke testing and CCTVing. So you could say that there's no repair work that's been done, but the legwork and everything has been ongoing for the past year and a half.
The phasing titling is way off on this. Phase 5 is basically phase 1. And so phase 5 was the initial sanitary sewer evaluation study. So they did the smoke testing.
All the things, phases that preceded
Everything
it
before that was right.
In other words, not based on our field team's observations alone.
And so they finished the investigation services, I can't remember how long ago. That was early this year, late last year?
It was
September of last year.
early this year.
And we didn't give them notice to proceed on design until earlier this year. And so I mean, a lot of the delay is not on them.
Oh, I wasn't blaming them or anything, but there just was it seemed like a big gap.
Sure, there
The
was.
last time we did something,
I agree with that.
going out for design now,
But a
so
lot
we're
of
gonna have
that-
6 months.
We dragged our feet a little bit between the evaluation and getting them moving forward on design. And so, I mean, it's good to hear that design's just about done.
Yeah, no, that's excellent that it's
Then
moving.
the first quarter calendar year 25, we're looking to go out with a package for design services on what I'm hearing is going to be coined phase 5A.
That sounds, anytime you do that, that sounds like delay.
Any other questions on the I&I program? All right, phase 1 pump stations, Fairfield Beach, Center Street, and South Pine Creek.
Unfortunately, I don't have much of an update here. We're still waiting for the basis of design report to be submitted by Ty and Bond. There's been a significant delay here, so now we're going on a 7-month delay, which is it's a concern of mine. I think we all share that concern. So due by December 13th. So we're looking to get that in.
Did they explain their view of the delay or why it's happening? Or?
They have not, and that's a concern. So engineering, our capital projects and operations project manager, and myself just met this afternoon to review. We requested that, because we hadn't received deliverables except for one item, hydraulic analysis memo to support this work. But we've been paying Ty and Bond all along. So we asked them to send us everything they had in draft form, everything that they're currently working on. They did so the end of October. So we've been reviewing that documentation, and we've noticed significant delays from work that was started earlier in the year to when the work was actually documented, which was closer to September, October. So we're seeing gaps between late spring to mid-fall. And something that we're looking to address with them.
Maybe a manpower issue or.
Don't know, but we also have a meeting on the calendar with Connecticut Deep, because this project is eligible for grant funding and we already have pre-approval from that agency.
Is there a time-sensitive component to that?
Not right,
Not yet.
not right now. We have to renew annually for that to maintain that our priority on the state list. So that's due shortly. So we're in the process of preparing that renewal. Yeah. Wish I had better news on that one.
Hopefully we will next month. December 13th, the ODR. Any other questions? Next item is phase 2 pump stations, Mill River and Toll House.
Phase 2, so we had received the engineering report in July. The town provided comments on that. We received the revised report just recently, so November 6th. So again, there's been a time delay, and we're reviewing that. So engineering is taking the lead on that internally and performing the review of the phase 2 report. John, I just committed, you don't even know this, you and I committed us to reviewing that report too.
We have a date scheduled?
We do have a date schedule. They'll share it with you tomorrow. Gotta keep us on track. This is Ty and Bond as well. So Ty and Bond, all pump stations, right? Right. That's a concern.
Do you approve their invoicing? Or is that,
We'd like to approve it.
okay, yeah, there's no process for like, having satisfactory.
We have
deliverables.
four open pending invoices that we've received from Ty and Bond for this work, and we are not in a position to approve, release payment on those
Sure.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is some check-in with your department in terms of payments. Yeah, got it. Good. Usually the solution.
Hold payment until we get what we want.
Yes, yeah.
Any other questions on phase 2? WPCF equipment upgrades, UV disinfection system.
John, do you want to share what we learned on Monday?
We went,
Site visit.
we took a trip up to South Windsor. They are, well, they're seasonal disinfection, but they removed their old one and they're putting in a new, totally different system than what we have, which is very, very exciting as far as I'm concerned, coming from what we have now to what they have. It's a low pressure system. It seems much easier. It's initially a little more expensive, but maintenance and parts are considerably cheaper. They gave us a lot of good information. It's something we're going to pursue. And Jeff up there has some RFQ and information that he's going to pass along to us to.
So they were operating a very similar system, the Trojan, very similar model as what we have now prior to this replacement. That's why we wanted to go see it here.
Going from a lamp that cost, it's $635 for one on our machine. On their new machine, it's $100.
Wow.
The ballast is like in a fluorescent light. It's this big. He says it's $125.
Who's the manufacturer?
Inaqua.
Okay.
They're out of San Diego. It's a employee-owned company. We got the whole little one, but it's very exciting, actually. And that, for them to give us their RFQ and information, it's beneficial to us because we can hopefully hit the ground running a lot easier.
What size plant is?
They're about they're about 3 million, 3.5 we're now. So they're about a third our
Does
size.
it feel like it scales up though? Well,
The gentleman said, we will take your max flow and build a system for that.
Okay.
And the nice, again, I'm gonna go on and on, but if the level in the channel in the machine is this high, then the lamps from here down are the only ones on. The
Oh,
ones up
nice.
top are off.
right.
And every lamp, has a chip in it, and it tells you how many hours are on it, when it last started, when it last stopped. And he said you could basically take the ones that are on top and not use much and
Just
move
rotate
to the
them,
bottom.
right.
And he said, and it, no matter where you move it, that information goes with it. So it's unbelievable.
John, if I could suggest, if you're gonna get his requirements and his evaluation, get also what other systems that he evaluated,
Right.
so that you
Good idea.
get them all. I know you're high on this one, but
Yeah,
you
no.
might have rejected something that you might see as
Right.
Absolutely.
an improvement to what he's doing.
That's a good idea.
So,
And install time, I was.
That was the other thing, yeah.
They just broke ground for install the end of August and it's already completed.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like 16 to 18 week lead time on the
Yeah.
equipment.
That's what Michelle said. If we ordered this, how long? He goes, well, once we get the order, he said 16, 18 weeks.
It's like a quarter.
Do like a whole other bypass and
16, 18 months.
No, I know.
Just talking about-
An issue for that.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
Faster than I get a grinder.
So we're going to Stanford WPCA. Has anyone ever been to the Stanford WPCF? We're gonna go there next.
Yep.
In a couple weeks.
On the 4th.
Yeah, because they have a newer UV system installation, different brand.
Oh.
Different engineer did the design.
Yeah, let me know. I might want to go. I want to tag along.
That would answer your question.
My office is my.
He's already, the other guy's already done the legwork, so everything they've done, save yourself a leg.
I'll tag along. All right, any other questions on UV disinfection system? Moving on to the last item in capital improvement projects updates, east trunk line replacement.
Let's give it a current status update on the pulse of this project. It's a huge one. I feel like we don't talk about it enough since the money was approved, right? So contract was with legal and review for a while. It's back with the contractor, Pomona, so we're waiting on them to accept the revisions that were made by legal and sign on. Then we're going to be holding pre-construction meetings, so we're hoping that happens very soon. There's a number of players here, so besides Kelowna, we have a number of other contractors that we're working with. Construction schedule has been submitted, start date is, again, we're waiting. Duration's 20 months upon start.
Would they entertain a January, February start?
Good question. I think that's our hope.
Okay.
Before March.
We don't have moratoriums in town. Any work that would be affected.
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
It's more just digging in frost.
Weather conditions, yeah.
Doesn't frost.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about. Any other questions on East Trunk?
I just, I'd add we're meeting and to build on Michelle, we're meeting weekly now on that. So,
Oh, great.
That was an adjustment recently in adding the partners and getting it on a more recurring schedule. We've talked and Michelle will work with comms director and others, but on sort of a communication plan as it starts to roll out to the public, but also, there's so many stakeholders here financially between, the town boards now, being a part of it. So we're going to try to step that up a little bit as well. But you know, it's, you know, starting to form in a good place.
Sounds
What's
good.
the total value of the project?
Well, 27 million was the capital approval, so figure 50.
Yeah, I think it was
Thanks, Joe.
30 million, 750.
36
'cause there were-
million. Yeah.
A little over 30, because it was 27 split in half for the town bonded portions. So 13.5 town, 13.5 WPCA, and then there was, I believe, a 3 million and a $750,000 grant. So if I got that right, it was 30,750,000. Darn close to
Just
it.
to familiarize myself with all the funding sources there and what each goes to.
Don't know.
You can look at the town waterfall,
Yeah, okay.
which lists all our projects timed.
Break out the trunk replacement in terms of components.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our capital
absolutely.
improvement Plan.
Yeah.
Yes, it will.
Provides that information.
John, are we
Yeah.
doing? Oh, go ahead, David.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, if there's a specific project or something like that, like the East Trunk as an example, we can get you, you know, the packet from when we went to the boards recently, because that spells it all out for the funding sources.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
You're just looking at the overall number, right? Yeah, magnitude.
Do we
No,
have,
I'd like to understand the components of how it breaks down. Yeah.
we have a smart cover installed somewhere relatively close downstream of East Trunk?
Pre and post.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, the post one is right on the other side of the post road from Kearney Creek. And then the other one is up, you know, where Rio Bravo is, right there.
Okay. I'm very excited a year and a half from now to see
Oh, yeah.
those results.
Me too.
Really substantial.
Better, better if not substantial. I'm gonna be.
At minimum, you'll have saved, even if it's not substantial.
We're not thinking that way, right?
It'll be good for Ash Creek, no matter what.
Any other questions on East Trunk? Next item, Charter Revision Commission schedule for public comments.
And so under this other category, these are just items that I thought may be of interest to the commission, just to float out there. So the first public hearing of that commission was November 6th, and I did attend and I did speak on behalf of the staff, indicating that we were in support of Gerber's recommendation to that commission to look closely at the organization of WPCA roles and responsibilities.
Any questions, comments? Next item, publication of notices of decision.
So this came about after this month's meeting. We were contacted by an attorney for one of our applicants. And the attorney was asking when they would see our notice of decision on the application published. And that was something new to me and John. And so we inquired of Attorney Pierce, who had already been contacted by this attorney. And Attorney Pierce did walk us through the requirements in the general statutes. That does speak to, yes, we do need to publish outside of our website. We do need to publish in a newspaper, local newspaper, our decisions. And so we are moving forward. So we did publish the 3 or 4 decisions that the commission made last month, and we're moving forward. So the decisions that were made tonight, we'll be publishing those. This is in the Fairfield Citizen.
That's good. Anything? Okay. Questions, comments? Moving on, PFAS sampling plan.
This will be on here for a while, right? For the next several meetings. There'll always be something new, likely when it comes to PFAS. So we've initiated routine quarterly monitoring of our biosolids. John was instrumental in working with Cindy Knight, who's an LEP we've used in the past for this purpose. He also grabbed samples of our influent effluent. This occurred on Veterans Day holiday, so we should have the results available before next month's meeting. We could share. Next step, so I'm looking to track points of application of our biosolids through We Care Denali. I haven't been successful in getting a response from someone who's knowledgeable about this from that company, but I am still moving forward with that. I think it will just assist us again in showing our effort to comply with the new state legislation.
Is it contractual? I guess the town has a contract with Denali.
Yeah, I have a copy of our contract.
And they are
And-
required to provide us. the
Talks
detail.
about tracking, but doesn't give a lot of detail, you know.
That goes both
Challenge-
ways. They can
Challenging,
interpret it one way and your attorney can interpret it the other.
exactly. Yep. That's all I have.
Any questions, comments there? All right, before our last item of adjournment, I would just like to.
I'd like a point of privilege, please.
Sure.
As this is my last meeting, I would like to thank each and every one of you. It's been a pleasure. I apologize for some of the rudeness I might have happened. But it was all in good spirit. It was all for the benefit of the town. So I thank each and every one of you, and I wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors going forward. Everybody, I think, has my phone number. If there are any questions, please do not hesitate to call. There's no problem at all with that.
You beat me to it.
Thank you.
I was about to thank you for your service. You've been instrumental for the board
Thank you.
and me personally. I appreciate your guidance. You will be missed. In 12 months, rejoin.
We should make the point, as we did to Mr. Ellison before he left, that the meetings are public and you are welcome to sit in and
Sure, you want me to comment coming to these meetings?
8 years, Joe, right?
8 short years.
This is a big
What,
country.
2017. I can remember when I was much, much, much younger. I was only 43 then. Look at me.
Thank you, sir.
David, you too will find out, David, trust me.
With that, a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, everybody, and have a great evening.